All right. Hi, everybody. Good to meet you all on a Thursday morning. We're going to talk about how to prevent burnout before it's too late. If you go to the next screen. Oops. Yeah, just quickly, I will introduce myself. I'm a Forex founder and an investor and startup founder coach through 500 Global and Techstars. And my latest role was Chief Product Officer at a Series C tech company. And I was burnt out and I couldn't do it anymore. And I didn't want to wake up in the morning wondering, like, what am I doing? So I left my role and I realized that we need some kind of a framework or a playbook when we think about next steps. Like after school, like we have to navigate ourselves, and most of the time we wing it. And as we gain more experiences, ironically, it gets harder. And secondly, like think about post-COVID world, and I feel like AI is gonna take our jobs away. I wonder if anybody feel that way. It's very scared, and it's really easy to be in a scarcity mode. And we are in such a transitional period where the economy and the geopolitical situations don't help either with the like tech layoffs also. And lastly, there are lots of good retreats and workshops. However, once you're out of those workshops, that transformation is hard to integrate it into the real life. Who is holding myself accountable, and who is really helping me to go through and navigate the real life to actually integrate the transformation? So we introduced the game of life. Go to the next slide. So it's an experimentation and a project where we provide a system at the inflection point of what's next. And we offer a 6-week program and hold each other and the participants to integrate the experiences and lesson in real life. So we are working with people who feel uncertain in their career to build a playbook for now and the future whenever you guys want to make next moves. We offer people to create the concrete plan to actualize your vision and mindset shift from inertia to forward motion, and of course tools and community and resources as a full playbook to unblock yourself. So some of the participants are definitely chief members and educators and startup founders and big tech leaders. Just quickly, just to go over them testimonials. One of the participants had a hard time waking up in the morning and being wanted to start a passion project that he couldn't do for the last 10 years. And he introduced that program, launched his passion project with his kids, and saving 2 hours every day working on the passion project. And the other example, one design leader wanted to work on the personal branding and social media, and she felt blocked. And after the program, she started blogging and having more followings and audience. So at the end, we're going to share the survey to get the feedback. And by joining the survey, you will get a complimentary one-on-one free coaching to address your career challenges and come up with the strategic solutions. And we'll also engage in the quick breakthrough exercises as well. So it was just a quick intro of the game of life and why we are presenting about the burnout. Yeah, so burnout can be look like a symptom, but I think it's outcome of something a lot deeper than just the overwork and the stress. That's just a symptom of it, and we understand that that's a misalignment with your value or lack of self-care or the scarcity mindset. So we really need to resource ourselves with new skills and better habits and mindset shift. It's not just having tools like time boxing or having a prioritization tools. I think it has to be all come together to take care of ourselves. So in this webinar, we'll talk about best practices of raising self-awareness. And we're going to share some knowledges about how to take care of ourselves and manage stress. All right. So I want to introduce Carson. I'm so excited Carson joined our founding team at Game of Life. He actually changed my life 10 years ago through like experiential exercises that transformed my life. I was very alone and very closed and just working all the time. And he helped me really open myself up from scarcity mindset to abundance mindset. So I will quickly hand it over to Carson so that we can have some fun exercises and lectures.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shin Young. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time out. Appreciate you. Looking forward to spending the next maybe 40 or so minutes with you. We've got some time for Q&A at the end. As Shin Young said, I've been doing the work of people for over 20 years. I started my life journey in TV and film and moved to LA, came up to San Francisco in 2003, and was sort of recruited by a company that did leadership development, personal development, team building, communications training. They liked what I was doing and I liked what they were doing. And I stayed with them for about 14 years. So I ran two of their big offices here in San Francisco and in LA. Since 2016, I've been on my own doing consulting, coaching, training, facilitation all over the world, really. And when people ask me what I do, what I generally say is I help to reduce suffering at work. And people kind of get a kick out of that, oftentimes a little bit of a chuckle, but they say more. Well, tell me more about that. I want to suffer less at work. And what I generally talk about with people is that, where does our suffering come from? It doesn't necessarily come from the work that we do or the job. It oftentimes comes from either our internal dialogue, the way that we deal with ourselves, or the way that we deal with other people. And so what I tend to do, what I do most of the time is help people work better with themselves and work better with other people. And we find that when we do that, life gets a little bit better. And so that's what today's going to be about. I will not promise you all of the answers to all of the issues or challenges that you face in the next, 40 minutes. We're going to maybe come up with a couple different answers, a couple different solutions about how do we prevent burnout? How do we be more energized on a daily basis? How do we find our path maybe a little bit more effectively? And I also will say that nothing that I'm going to talk about today is rocket science. It's not brand new news. There's nothing really new. People ask me this all the time. What's the new thing? What should we be doing, Carson? What should we be doing in our company? What should we be doing with leadership? What should we be doing with our people? And the truth is, it's nothing new. It's the things that we've always known we need to do. We just don't do them very well. As Shin Young said, coming out of the pandemic, I think for a lot of people, burnout is the new pandemic. And we've been working really hard. We're in different spaces and places in our life. We're virtual, we're hybrid, we're all of these things. I think that there's some trauma that we haven't dealt with as humans coming out of pandemic and sort of into this world that we're in right now. And I think there's trauma that's occurring on a daily basis. And so one thing I will ask that you do is give yourself a break today, meaning that, we're all working hard. And this little mini session here can be an opportunity for you to just sort of give yourself a break, be a human being again, talk to some other human beings, and think about it in terms of you're not in this whole thing alone, meaning that a lot of people are experiencing probably what you're experiencing. Even if you're doing great, I'm doing great in many ways in my life, but I'll tell you, I'm tired too, right? So I don't have all the answers. I have some answers. I've got some anecdotes. I've got some ideas, but I would love to hear yours as well. We want to hear from you. So a couple things before we get going here, just as in terms of how to create value, is participate, jump in, ask some questions, participate in the chat. Use the annotation tool if you want, go into the breakouts, meet some people today. And again, be human. So you don't have to be perfect today. I think sometimes at work, we put on a happy face. We put on this perfect face, or we try to put on a perfect face to be that person that's, the go-getter, the person that's the achiever. Today, just sort of be a human being, right? We're all human. We have emotions, we have challenges, we have questions, we have uncertainties. And so that's okay to be a human being today. I've asked that you help each other. So again, we're going to be in some breakouts today, meet some new people. Maybe you'll meet somebody that'll be your next business partner. Maybe meet somebody who'll be your next, coffee partner. When you're listening today, listen to learn. Very often when we're listening, what we do is we listen to agree with or disagree with. We listen to respond. We listen with a whole lot of other judgments and assumptions coming into our brains. It's how our brains work. Don't worry about it. But today, listen to learn. Maybe you'll hear something that you didn't hear before that will help you move forward in the future. Be present as much as you can today. As Shin Young said, you don't have to come off or turn your camera on if you don't want. But be here. This is a participatory event. So if you're doing 17 other things, which again is part of why we're burnt out, because we're doing 17 things at the same time, I would suggest or encourage you to sort of put the other things down and just be here for the next, again, 30, 40 minutes, not too much time. And then lastly, remember that knowing something doesn't equate to doing it. So what do I mean by that? Raise your hand if you know that you should drink 8 glasses of water a day. I've got mine right here. Yeah. How many of you do it? Okay, good. Gina, see yours. Let's all have a little sip. How about that? Okay. How many of you know you should floss your teeth every day? But how many of us do it, right? How many of us, I've got a partner here at my house. We've been together for 13 years. We've got 400 house plants and 2 cats. So I'll let you make up whatever you want to make up about that. But I know that in my relationship, I should listen more. I should be more present. I should be more romantic. I should put the dishes away the right way, but I don't always do it, right? And so knowing something doesn't equate to doing it because we've got a lot going on. As Shinyon said in one of those first slides is, we're not taking care of ourselves as much as we can. We have way too much going on. We're overwhelmed. We're in autopilot mode. We're in our stress response. And so when we're in those modes, our best brain doesn't work. So just because we have the knowledge of what works, what doesn't work, what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing, doesn't mean we're doing it. And so today, this opportunity is an opportunity for you to sort of take off that autopilot and maybe think about some of the things that you want to be doing, you quote unquote should be doing. I don't like to should very often, but sometimes we do that. And then also to think about, well, what do I want to do next? What's the next step for me? What do I want to start doing, stop doing? What kind of habit do I want to pick up? How can I go get some support maybe from somebody on this call? So with that, we're going to jump into some content. And the first thing we're going to talk about is what we like to call emotional intelligence, or EQ. Again, smart people aren't always people smart. Again, we have a lot of knowledge in our brains, but oftentimes what gets in the way, or what causes the quote unquote suffering, is this emotional aspect of human beingness. And so we're going to talk about we're going to talk about emotional intelligence. And this is your first opportunity to participate. I'm going to ask that you pop into the chat box. So warm up your chat fingers and pop into the chat box. When I say emotional intelligence, what comes to mind? Not the definition necessarily, but in a word or two, what comes to mind when I say emotional intelligence? Pop it in the chat. I love it. We got double empathy, compassion, great. Yep, understanding feelings, understanding emotions. Good. Anybody else? Touchy-feeliness, Guara. That, of course you said that. Yep, the touchy-feeliness part. It's actually the hard part is the thing. Connecting, I love that. Thanks, Stephanie. Understanding other person's views, good. Anybody else? And again, feel free to come off mute if you want as well. I love to be interrupted. All right, so great. Yeah, you have the compassion, understanding. Good, Veronica. Awesome. So you've got the gist of it. It's about empathy. It's about understanding. It's about recognizing feelings and emotions, about being able to describe those feelings and emotions. Daniel Goleman, about 20 years ago, coined this phrase called emotional intelligence, or EQ, and he describes it in 4 different quadrants. 2x2 boxes are our favorites, right? But basically, it's a function of self and other folks, and then awareness and action. I'm going to go through this, and I'd like you to think about it for yourself. Again, apply these lenses to you. Where can you grow? How can this help? So when we think about emotional intelligence, oftentimes people will say, oh, these are the soft skills. And I say, no, they're not soft. They're hard, and they're essential. These are the essential skills for people to be more fulfilled, less stressed, more energized, smoothing roads of communication, being more effective as teams, et cetera. These are the skills that matter most. They're also the skills that translate to resilience, that translate to getting out of or preventing burnout. And I'm going to go through these real quickly. I'd like you to think about it for yourself. Which ones are you good at and which ones are you not? So self-awareness is where we start. Awareness of strengths, weaknesses, stressors. What causes us to be stressed out? What are the things that we lean on when we are at the bottom of the hill, so to speak? But self-awareness is also about how do we come off to others. There's a bunch of studies that around EQ, and that most people think that they are pretty self-aware, and most people aren't. That's the simple version of it, right? We don't know how other people see us. And so again, part of self-awareness is raising that. What's going on for me in my brain? What are my thoughts and feelings producing for myself? What are my beliefs of the world, myself, and other people? So again, sometimes that takes some time to think about, to recognize where you came from. What are the cultural things that you've brought into your world today? What are the parental things that you've brought into your world today? What are the societal things that you've brought into your world today? Right? What makes you up as a person? That's self-awareness. But self-awareness by itself sometimes can just be really frustrating. Have you ever had that feeling of like, I know this about me, but I can't do anything about it? Right? Or the same thing keeps happening. It keeps coming back around, whether it's a relationship issue, a communication issue, a work issue, you find yourself in the same spot. So awareness of that can just become frustrating. So what do we need to do about it? We need to make sure that we take action about it. We need to manage ourselves. So self-management is about, my little arrow here, self-management is about, how do I regulate my behavior? How do I shift and change? How do I adjust to the world around me? How do I authentically adapt to different situations? That's self-management. So again, that's the self lens. We're going to take a look at that today. The others lens is around social awareness. How do I understand other people? Again, you said it before in the chat, empathy, understanding other folks. How do I read the room? Right? And then what do I do with it? That's relationship management. So these four quadrants are the work that I do in almost every organization that I go to. And again, I think, I don't know how to do your job, but I know that in your job, you work with people, even if it's just yourself. I know that preventing burnout relies upon understanding where you're at, why you're there, and then doing something different about it. So I'm going to pause real quick and just ask if you have any questions, or think about it for yourself, and you can pop it in the chat box. Which one do you think, if you raised your score, let's say there's a 1 to 10 score, 10 is 100%, I've got this, 1 is I don't even know what this is. If you were to score yourself on each of these, which is your highest score? Which is your lowest score? Why don't you go ahead and pop that into the chat box? And or if you want, you can come off mute and ask a question. Highest score, lowest score. Again, not a right or wrong answer, just a self-reflection. Yamini, I bet you're going to find some like-minded folks on this call here. I like that, Gaurav. You actually gave yourself a score. Mm. Awesome. All right, thanks everybody. I appreciate you participating and just jumping in, being a part of the game here. So I'll just say a couple things. Today, we're going to think about two things, self-awareness and self-management. Again, we don't have a ton of time on this call. I'm going to do a couple quick exercises. I'm going to have you throw you into a couple breakout rooms. And again, this isn't about new necessarily information. It's about thinking for yourself, what can I do better right now to improve my circumstances when it comes to burnout, when it comes to sort of whatever situation you're working with, whatever situation you're dealing with. There's not going to be brand new information taught, but you might have some awareness or aha moments about, oh yeah, you know what? I used to do that, now I don't. Or if I just did this more often, maybe it'd be effective for me. So we're going to start with an activity. Before we do that activity, I'm going to ask that you run and get a writing utensil and something to write on. So a piece of paper and a pen, a pencil, a marker, anything that you can, you're not going to necessarily show, well, you can show it if you want, but just for you, I'm going to have you do a quick little mini journaling exercise, let's call it. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. All right, we got some thumbs up out there. All right, So this is an exercise in self-awareness. And I'm going to give you some directions. They're going to show up on the next slide. But I just want you to notice, again, your thoughts, your feelings, notice your experience during this exercise. And then we're going to talk about it on the other side. All right. So here's the exercise. Handwriting exercise. Don't worry. Handwriting doesn't count, or penmanship doesn't count. It's very simple. Write your name however you want, as many times as you can in 30 seconds. Write your name however you want, as many times as you can in 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Go, 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 go. As many times as you can. Go, 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 go. 10 seconds is up. Go, 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 go. 15 seconds. As many times as you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pencils down. Okay, take a breath. How many of you got stressed out by that exercise? Anybody? Yeah, okay, okay. Again, just notice your experience, notice your thoughts and feelings, notice what went on for you. We're going to talk. Stephanie, you did, but you pulled it back. Good job, good job. Okay, there's an exercise in practicing stress management. Okay, so either come off mute or in the chat box in a couple words, what was your experience in that exercise? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? Again, you can come off mute. You can chat it in the box, whatever you'd like. Yamini, go for it.
Yeah, so when I started, I was trying to focus a bit on penmanship and trying to write it really nicely. And then after a couple of tries, I realized, oh, do we need to get as many in as possible? Let me be really fast about it. And then the penmanship went to the dogs, and I was just focused on like, how many can I get in before you hit your 30-second mark? And that wasn't fun. So
that part was fun?
That wasn't fun.
Was not fun. Okay, okay, got it, got it. Okay, great. Awesome, good job. Give her a round of applause. Again, not a right or wrong answer. Your experience is your experience. There's a point to this, and I'll get to it in a second. Who else? What was your experience in that exercise? Stephanie, go for it.
Sure. So I was doing all fine. I was like, I'm just going to focus on my first name because I have a longer last name. And then you said the 10 seconds. I thought that we were done. And I was like, I had this moment of panic. And then I realized you meant we'd only done 10 seconds. And I said, you know what? Who's setting this expectation for me? This is my own random expectation that I'm putting on myself. And I have a young child. So when I get stressed like that, I sing Daniel Tiger. And so he's not that young anymore. He doesn't listen to Daniel Tiger, but there's a song that's like, the best is the best for you. So then I was like, be your best. The best is the best for you. And then it just totally put me in a different mindset. So it was nice because I felt this kind of panic and like stress, like I'm feeling at this. And then I was like, no, we all have different length names. We're all going to do it at our own speed. So it was amazing what can happen in 30 seconds.
Yes, I love it. It's very good. I love that. Great job. Give her a round of applause. Good job. Good job. Okay, so again, not a right or wrong way of doing this. Your experience was your experience. Excuse me. Christina, I love that in the chat. I felt like it was a game. Okay, so let me ask you this question. Again, you can come off mute or you can pop it in the chat. What's the point of the exercise? And maybe that's what you were thinking again throughout the exercise. So I've done this for 20 years, right? And we do this for a reason. People think it's a game, it's a competition. They get stressed out about it. They have this whole like existential experience in 30 seconds. You know, there's all these things that happen in your brain and in your heart and in your soul in 30 seconds with this silly little exercise. So again, I'm asking you the question, why do you think we do this when we think about self-awareness? Anybody? Why is this an exercise about self-awareness?
I think it's part of self-awareness just because you're sitting there and you're reflecting back on what did I feel? What was I thinking in that moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And how often do we actually do that? Right? How often are we actually thinking about what we're thinking about or recognizing we're having these emotions and why they're there? I mean, Stephanie, you kind of hit the nail on the head. You're like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And then hold on, wait a second. Whose expectations are these? What are the rules? Have I made the rules up? You know, I've done this for a long, long time. And these directions, write your name, however you want, as many times as you can in 30 seconds. They don't really mean anything. You could have write YOURNAME. You could have wrote your name with your initials. You could have wrote your name as a check mark. You could have wrote your name as a squiggly line. As many times as you can. There's no competition there. It's just as many times as you can. 30 seconds is a time limit that we put around it. So if you think about this exercise in general and the way in which it's written, it is a little bit vague. It's a little bit uncertain. I didn't say write your full name, first, middle, end. I didn't say write it 10 times or more. I didn't give you specifics around it. It was vague. It was a little bit, it was not necessarily complex, but we make it complex, don't we? But if we think about life, life is constantly in a state of flux. It's a state of uncertainty. It's in a state of complexity. It's in a state of ambiguity. And so what happens with humans when we have these states is we start to make a bunch of stuff up. It's a competition. I have to do it right. I need to be perfect. I need to write my first and my last name. I need to check these boxes. I need to get to work on time. I need to make sure that I'm the best parent. I need to and we go on and we go on and we go on and we go on. And so again, the point of this exercise isn't to write your name 100 times or even to write your name at all. The point of the exercise is to recognize that we are constantly making up a perception of the world in which we think we're supposed to live it and the way we're supposed to be in it. And so, again, I encourage you to think about this and translate to life. Where else are you experiencing stress, competition, time boxing, time management, doing it right? Where else are you experiencing the experience that you just had a little snapshot of? I would guess that there are multiple places in your life that you're doing it everywhere, he says. Yeah, so again, not new news. I've done this for a while. Like wherever you go, there you are. And when we get to places, we need to recognize that we are, let's say, contributing, not 100% responsible, but contributing to the experience that we have, meaning that we are making things up about the world around us. Some of them might be true, but I would venture to assert that a lot of it is not true. Is that we make a lot of stuff up about how we have to show up, what we should be doing, not be doing, where we need to go, the achievement we need to achieve, the amount of money, the house, the this, that. We make up a lot of things that aren't necessarily helping our mental health. Let's just say that. I'll keep it there. Again, I'm not saying that we have control over our lives or the world or anything like that, but we do have where we can focus is on control of how we deal with ourselves. So think about how can we improve self-awareness. And again, these are just 10 tips or 9 tips that we can think about when it comes to improving self-awareness. Again, thinking about what we're thinking about our emotions and where they're coming from. Are they valid? Do I need to be in a stress response right now? Do I need to be worried or concerned? What am I worried or concerned about? So again, these are a few that we can think about. Stopping and stop viewing your feelings as good and bad. I think we get into this rut a lot. Feelings are feelings. We have them. We are human beings. They are there for a reason. They are good indicators of information of where we might be focusing, where our attention might be. But when we dive in and name those feelings, they can become just that. They're just feelings. They come and they go. I don't know if I saw it in social media, whatever it was. There was like a kindergarten teacher talking to a student, and the student was having, a kindergarten moment. And the advice from the teacher was to think of yourself as a pond and your feelings as the goldfish, right? Your feelings move through you. They aren't you, you're the pond, but feelings move through you. I'll give you a quick example of this. My partner last year opened up I would call it a plant-based community space. It's a plant store, art gallery, event space. It's wonderful, it's lovely, but it's also a brick and mortar business in Oakland, California. So there's been quite a bit of stress and anxiety that goes along with it. So I have my own business. He has his own business. I obviously am a part-time plant shop boy when I'm not doing my business. But, we put a lot of money into it, a lot of time into it, a lot of effort into it. We've had a ton of challenges. And so with that has come quite a bit of anxiety. So I'll be driving around or getting on a plane to go visit a client, and I'll just have general anxiety, like I'm worried, I'm stressed. And I've started to name it and hope to move through it. Meaning like, okay, hello, thank you, anxiety, for being here. I appreciate you. I recognize that you're here for my safety, but there's not a lion or tiger or bear coming to chase me or, rip my arms off. This is just general anxiety. And so again, thinking about it in terms of it's not me, it's something that moves through me. It's been really helpful to do that. So again, not saying I shouldn't feel this, pushing back on it, but not viewing feelings as good or bad. They're just part of us as humans. Observe your ripple effect. Notice where you're feeling your emotions physically. Understand who pushes your buttons. Why are they pushing your buttons? Keep a journal again. Go to the balcony. It's just an opportunity, like when you're in it, to just take a step, go outside, get some sunlight, get some air. Excuse me. Note the choices and decisions you make when you're in a good or bad mood. Write down your values you want to live by. Again, part of the game of life is about identifying values and which ones you want to live by, which ones you want to really focus on. And then again, notice your emotions out there in the world. One of the key indicators of high emotional intelligence is that we are able to name our emotions. If you take a look at, if you go to online and just go list of feelings, most people, when I ask them how many feelings or emotions can you name, they can name about 6 or 7. But there's an infinite number of variances on those. And being able to name it and recognize it and know why it's there is really important. Questions, comments, or thoughts? All right, I'm gonna have you do a quick breakout, and I'd like you to take a screenshot, take a picture with your camera of this list of 9. And I'm gonna have you go and just to do a 5-minute breakout with some people to get a little human interaction. And I'd like you to think about these 9 or any others that you would like to start doing or stop doing or incorporate, again, make a habit of. And just chat about that. So again, introduce yourself quickly, maybe who you are, where you're living, and then what's the one thing on this list that you think would be valuable for you to start doing or stop doing? And I'll put you in those groups for just, hold on. All right, I'm not seeing my timer here. So I'm gonna put you in there for 5 minutes, say hello to a new person, and we'll see you back in 5. I'm gonna put my timer on because I don't see the timer in my breakout room. All right, so here we go. All right. Looks like we're all back. I hope that was a valuable few minutes. Maybe you met somebody you didn't know, maybe a new friend, a new colleague, or a preventing burnout buddy. Anybody have anything to share, anything that they thought of, or anything that was important that you learned, anything you learned from a colleague, anything that you want to share to the larger group about what you talked about in your small group? Christine?
I unfortunately we got cut off a
Oh,
little
no.
short. So I was the only one to talk. So now I'm like,
Oh
sorry.
no, you're like me, you're the over talker. Well, Christine, what did you share about? Are you open to sharing with the larger group?
The synthesis is trying to find when I'm in a good mood or like when I'm in a bad mood, and usually it's because the stress is coming and you're losing sleep and all those things. And how do you recognize when you're in that moment and do your best to kind of control, not letting that affect the people around you.
Yeah, and it's hard, right? We're humans having a human experience, and it's challenging. So I'm going to go into the self-management piece and self-management aspect because, again, improving self-awareness, one, is important, but also can just be frustrating if we don't do anything about it. So in order to start that, I'm going to have you do an activity on your own. You can turn your camera on or off if you want, but I'm going to have you sit back in your chair. I'm standing, so I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to sit back in your chair. I'm going to have you do a quick breathing exercise. How many of you, show of hands, have a breathing practice? Well, are you sure? Everybody has a breathing practice. Otherwise, they wouldn't be. I kid. Breathing is almost always a good thing to do, right? But we don't do it very consciously. We don't do it as a practice. And one of the best things that you can do to self-regulate and self-manage is to bring breathing as a practice, as an intention into your life. So I'm going to do that right now. And before I do that, I'm going to ask you again, sit back in your chair and just kind of notice your body, notice your brain, notice what you're thinking, what you're feeling, where might you have some pain, where you might have some discomfort. Just kind of give yourself a quick body scan. And then I'm going to have you do an exercise, a breathing exercise that's, again, many, many, many years old. It helps for stress management, it helps for sleep, it helps for rest and rejuvenation. It helps to get your brain into the parasympathetic mode, which is the rest and relax mode. So again, it's the stress reducer. So on your own and in your own time, I'm going to have you do 4 sets of this. 4 seconds in, 7 seconds hold, 8 seconds out. You can start a timer if you'd like. You can also just go, with your mind clock if you'd like. If you find that 7 seconds is too long to hold, then feel free to cut it short. But let me just give you a quick example of what this would look like. I always do it with my eyes closed because it's helpful for me. So that was 1 round. So on your own, I'll give you about a minute or two. Come back when we're done. So do 4 in a row and see how it feels on your own time. All right, you should be nearing that 4th round, if not complete. And I'll have you come back, open your eyes back up. And again, just in the chat real quick, what did you notice? Anything? Oh, good. Dana, you're trying to breathe every day. What'd you notice? How do you feel right now? Is it relaxing? Was it hard? Was it challenging? Some people have a real big challenge with just sitting and being silent. It's not right or wrong. It's just, again, some of our brains are sort of just going so fast we can't stop them. What did you notice? Anything in the chat box? Relaxing. Great. That's the hope. Slowing down a little bit. Good. Good, good, good. 2 tries to get it right, Guara. Yeah, harder than you thought. Yeah, absolutely. So again, breathing is something that we do to live, but we don't do it to thrive. And there's a piece of breathing that can help you thrive. I'm a big fan of meditation. I'm a big fan. I'm actually not, it's not true. Let me mark my words. I'm not a big fan of meditation. I'm a big fan of the result of meditation. Same thing with breathing. I'm a go, go, go type of person. So for me to slow down is hard, but it's really, really valuable. So again, I'm going to sort of wrap this piece up. I'm going to give you another list of 9. I'd like you to think for yourself. Which one do you think would help you? What would have an impact on you when it comes to preventing burnout? Which would you like to grow in, to work on more intentionally? Which would help you the most? So again, pick one and maybe write it down or think about how you might be able to, again, make that goal public. Tell somebody else. And as we're moving on towards the end of this, I'm gonna say thanks for your participation. Again, we didn't solve burnout, but hopefully we gave you a few tips and tricks about how you might be able to help yourself and help others when it comes to managing stress. And again, being more intentional about the prevention part of burnout versus once you're already there, it's too late. So I want to thank you for being here. Shin-Young, I'm going to turn it back over to you. I know you got a few things that you'd like to do. And I got another call at 10 o'clock. So Shin-Young, here you go.
All right, thanks, guys. Thank you so much, Carson. It was very helpful exercise, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Like I said in the beginning, please fill in the survey for the complimentary one-on-one coaching. We're gonna audit your career journey and how we can help. Do you guys have any questions? Carson had to go in 3 minutes, so in the meantime, if you guys have any questions to Carson about burnout or mindfulness, please go ahead.
I have a question. Is there a difference between how I approach things once I'm already feeling burnt out or versus when I think I'm heading towards burnout?
Well, I think that there's two answers to that. I mean, first is it depends. The beauty of my job is that when it comes to human beings, it always depends, meaning that I can't tell you exactly what to do for your life and your burnout and your mental health, et cetera. So what I think going back to it really depends on your own self-awareness and your own self-regulation and management is recognizing when you're there and what to do about it at that point, but also recognizing what you're doing to prevent it. So when you're already at burnout, for many people, it's almost too late. It's like, okay, I got to get out of here. I got to do this. I got to go to Hawaii. I got to go take time off, whatever, or change my job, quit, resign, whatever. Like it's too late when you hit that moment. So recognizing that maybe you hit that moment is important, but I think that most importantly, to focus on what are you doing about it in the meantime. If you're already there, there's steps and tools you can take to get yourself back into thrive mode. But I think that the most important thing is to think about how you prevent it before it's too late.
Cool, thank you.
Follow-up question, Carson. What are some of the signs that help you recognize that you're in a state of burnout? Because what happens often is your baseline for normal keeps changing as you're going through that. And when you realize you're actually, you're completely burnt out when you realize that you've gone too far, and it's very hard to turn back then. So what are some of the intermediate signs that one should look for?
Yeah, that's a great question, Yamini. Well, I would say it varies and it depends on people, but there are some specific ones around just energy. As Shin-Young said before, it's like just getting up and not kind of knowing where you're going or why you're getting up, being frustrated, resentful, short fuse a lot of times is a symptom of that. It's just it's the signs of stress that we don't always see. And so again, it's different for different people. For me, I'll tell you this, when I know I've got to take a step back, I have a shorter temper. I start to blame a lot more. Like, I don't know if you're in a relationship at home, but like when I'm real stressed out, it's always the other person's fault. Right. Versus like, if I'm not stressed out, like the challenge is my challenge, I can handle like, so again, pointing the finger out oftentimes, being a victim to the circumstance versus the solution. Right. So some of those are the signs when you feel like, I mean, I guess I bring it down to like, when you start to feel yourself limiting your power or start to feel more powerless. I think those are some signs as well. When you don't feel resourced, like I don't have it in me to take on X, Y, or Z. And again, it depends on the person. It depends on, a lot of different things. So I can't say that for everybody, but I think that those are some of the signs.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Shin-Young, I've got to run. I'm going to leave you with this last slide here and thank everybody for participating. Appreciate you. Go out there and be a good human.
All right. Thank you, Carson. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Please fill out the survey, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Bye.
All right. Chat later, Shin-Young.
All right. Bye. Thank you, Carson.